For today's cup of coffee, every time I ask youngest kid before I press the record button, "Are you ready?" he goes into this tirade of idiocy. It's like he's popped every digit in his body.
Almost. I can't pop
neck,
my toes.
fingers, arms, wrists, all this stuff. Then
She asks me if I'm ready, and then I get
Then
ready.
he goes into his routine from Game Grumps. Mm-hmm. And this is why I'm usually so flustered by that point. And then we got Snuffy Boy that's falling over things, and he is not graceful. He is not a graceful kitty. And I will tell you, this one is another one of those subjects that I thought, how bad can it be? Oh my God. So this is going to be at least a two-parter. I'm going to make it a two-parter.
We loves it.
Because I don't think that I could do much more than that. Mm. And so, same, sources for both of them. Now, I will tell you on this. There's some sources that are cited, but for the most part, not. And this individual got it from another website, which I couldn't even find the subject on it, but I didn't look that hard. So, and he's got Cat that's got this horrible congestion right behind my head.
I didn't put him there. He climbed there.
So, I have tried to edit this down. Kid is always wanting like a Cliff Notes version. If you want to go and read the full thing, because a lot of this originally it was like 38 pages.
Uh-huh.
Now I got it down to 25 pages. But that is still a ridiculous amount of information.
So this is going to be a two-parter?
Yes, I'm going to make it a two-parter. It probably could
Didn't
be
you
more.
say your eyes were blurry by the end of it?
That's exactly, because I have been on this again for hours.
Hours.
And it's one of those that, part of it has to do with it, just minutiae. And it's like, okay, this may be important later, but right now, no, I don't care about this, so I just left some of it out.
You nibbled on my finger.
Okay, this is about Operation Highjump and the UFO connection. So it's interesting, and this was, I will give you, I don't even know how the hell it's Bibliotech Pleiades or some shit like that is the in the web address. I don't know what the hell that means. Anyhow, this is by Eric J. Coron. Mm-hmm. And that he has taken this from Gray Falcon website. Like I said, this link will be in the description. And it says in 1947, Admiral Richard E. Byrd led 4,000 military troops from the U.S., Britain, and Australia in an invasion of Antarctica called Operation Highjump, and at least one follow-up expedition.
Okay.
4,000 troops to Antarctica. Now, that in itself is weird.
Yeah, why?
Right. And it says that is a fact. It's undeniable. But the part of the story that is seldom told, at least in official circles, is that Byrd and his forces encountered heavy resistance to their Antarctic venture from flying saucers and had to call off the invasion.
What?
Well, this is conspiracy theory, so people can make up their own minds and do their own research, and I'm just reading what's here.
Okay.
And, well, I'm, parts of it. Mm-hmm. Since this aspect of the story has pushed forward, again, a few years ago, when a retired rear admiral allegedly living in Texas who had been involved in the invasion said he was shocked when he read material from a documentary entitled Rire from the Sky. I'll have to look at that. Rire.
Yeah.
R-I-R-E.
All right.
And there's very much an overusage of the quotations on this. Anyhow, this admiral allegedly claimed that he had been that there had been a lot of aircraft and rocket shoot downs, but did not realize the situation was as serious as the documentary presented it. Well, I think a lot of aircraft and rocket shoot downs, that's pretty serious.
Yeah. Of course, what is it? It's just business to him, isn't it?
I guess it is. Operation Highjump, which was basically an invasion of Antarctica. He's sort of left the A off on some of it.
Speak English.
Well,
use
shit,
proper.
I'm doing
Use
the
the Queen
best.
English.
I've been on
The
this.
Queen's English. The Queen Lizard, mother.
We must eat the lizard people. I hear they taste
this
like
is
chicken. Anyhow.
Anybody want shish kebab?
The invasion of the Antarctic, which consisted of 3 naval battle groups, which departed from Norfolk, Virginia, on December the 2nd, 1946. They were led by Admiral Byrd's command ship, the icebreaker Northwind, and consisted of a catapult ship called Pine Island and several other ones, which I underlined, but I'm like, this has no bearing on any of it, so you can look up all those yourself.
Yeah.
It said now this was what bothered me on this sentence: a British Norwegian force and a Russian force, and I believe some Australian and Canadian forces were also involved.
I believe.
Now shit, now were they there?
Yeah.
No, don't put that. If you don't know that,
You don't put that in an article as like an official thing. The fuck? No.
I don't know that this could even be considered official conspiracy theory. I don't know.
Something like that.
But anyhow, it says that the USS Pine Island was struck from the Naval Register on an unknown date, and that the ship's final disposition was unknown. And now this is a good question. How does one go about losing a major surface ship over 640 feet long, almost 70 feet wide, with a displacement of over 15,000 tons?
You don't.
And there was a rejoinder, which federal employee, when somebody had obviously asked him the question, had stated that Pine Island had been scrapped, and that the fact that it was not listed on the Naval Vessel Register, they said it was strange, but was probably just an oversight on the part of the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
And it says the Pine Island was not the only ship involved in Antarctic research or the explanation to have disappeared. There were numerous others.
Okay, are they going to give examples?
No.
Okay.
Just roll with the story.
All right, fine.
All right. And then it says that on March 5th, 1947, hey, how much bullshit have we found out lately has been truth?
I mean, a lot. But
Yeah.
I don't believe this. Of someone that says, I believe others. Well, damn it, was there or was there not? You don't put that. You don't.
I know.
You don't put that in writing.
I know. Now, this is not, like I said, it's conspiracy theory. And
Even with conspiracy theory, you do not put that.
Look, this was more concise than some of the other ones that would have been longer than the 25 pages, all right? So, no, I'm rolling with this one.
All right.
Anyhow, March 5th, 1947. That'd be your birthday, just around here.
Yeah.
A newspaper in Chile had quoted Admiral Byrd in an interview. It said that he declared today that it was imperative for the United States to initiate immediate defense measures against hostile regions.
I need that newspaper.
Furthermore, Byrd stated that he didn't want to frighten anyone unduly, but that it was a bitter reality that in case of a new war, the contentional United States would be attacked by flying objects which could fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds.
Okay, that's interesting.
And it says, not long before he made these statements, the Admiral had recommended defense bases at the North Pole.
Okay.
So you got both ends covered on that there. It says that Admiral Byrd repeated each of these points of view before a news conference which was held for the International News Service. Okay,
Right.
now was this true, or was this another one of these disinformation campaigns?
Right, we don't know.
All right, it says he was hospitalized and not allowed to hold any more press conferences.
Convenient, isn't it?
I think it was a matter of that he was placed in a mental hospital for a while.
That's what I think.
It says, still in March of 1955, he was placed in charge of Operation Deep Freeze, which was part of the International Geophysical Year of 1957 to 1958, an exploration of the Antarctic. He died shortly thereafter in 1957, and many suggested that he was murdered.
I'd believe that.
And it
Do you believe that?
It says that there were rumors that began to circulate that even though Germany had been defeated, a selection of military personnel and scientists had fled and established themselves at a base on Antarctica where they continued to develop advanced aircraft based on extraterrestrial technologies. And that at the end of the world, end of the war, the Allies
as we know it.
determined that there were 250,000 Germans unaccounted for, and that was even taking into account casualties and deaths. So, all unidentified flying object researchers, they say, are aware of the multitude of reports concerning sightings of flying saucers with swastikas or iron crosses on them, aliens speaking German and such. Now, I have heard that. Have you heard that?
I have not.
Oh my God, yeah. Where have you been? Where have you been?
Somewhere else, not in this field.
All right, they've also heard of abductees who have been taken to underground bases with swastika emblems on the walls, or in the case of noted abductee Alex Christopher, have seen reptiloids. Is that different than reptilians, the reptiloids?
No.
And Nazis working together aboard anti-gravity craft or within underground bases. Barney Hill was apparently not the only one to describe the so-called Nazi connection to unidentified flying object abductions. And it says another example is American Reinhold Schmidt, a man whose father was born in Germany and who tells in his book, Incident at Kearney, that he was taken on a flying saucer on several occasions.
A flying saucer.
We have to leave me alone. Schmidt states that the crew spoke German and acted like German soldiers. He also stated that they took him to the polar region. And rumors of secret Nazi bases at the poles were already fairly common there around the war. And so, description of the aerial disc by Schmidt, as he called them, actually matched pictures which were captured from the Germans in the final days of the Second World War. Now, let's face it, the Nazis and stuff, they were into some weird shit. I mean, truly.
Yeah.
And it's like the occult, and there were, a lot of stuff that, even a time machine, like some kind of portal or something they were trying to build. I mean, it's incredible. So, as odd as this sounds, it makes you wonder.
It does.
Okay, let me lost my place here. And it says that in 1959, 3 large newspapers in Chile reported front-page articles about UFO encounters in which the crew members appeared to be German soldiers. In the early 1960s, there were reports in New York, New Jersey, and New Jersey of flying saucer aliens who spoke German or English with German accent. And in one of the most spectacular legal cases of the 20th century, the atomic espionage trials, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg spoke of warships of space. Okay, in late 1947, only months after the famous Roswell incident, the then Secretary of the Navy, James Forrestal, sent a Navy task force to Antarctica, including Admiral Nimitz Admiral Cruzen and Admiral Byrd called Operation Highjump. It was touted to be an expedition to find coal deposits and other valuable resources. In actuality, they were apparently trying to locate an immense underground base constructed by the Germans with the aid of alien entities, which were described as Aryans. This base was allegedly located in an area of Antarctica that I'm not even going to try to attempt to speak because I don't do the German. I don't do the English some days. Anyhow, Germany had done a very detailed study of Antarctica and were allegedly to have built a small underground base there before the war. And there's plenty of evidence that as late as 1947, elements of the German Navy were still very active in the South Atlantic, operating either out of South America or some base in the Antarctic.
Right.
Well, everybody has heard as far as those rumors of these folks being in South America.
Yeah.
Okay, before the Second World War, there was an incident that was in an isolated section of the Bavarian Alps, and that was in the summer of 1938, where an unidentified flying object, which was crewed by a distinctly human and Aryan-appearing race that had made a forced landing, which was similar to the one that would occur 10 years later in Roswell.
Oh, we love that now, don't we?
And it says, while the occupants of the two craft were completely unrelated, the technology involved seems to have been similar. And in the Bavarian crash, it seems to have yielded a functioning or almost functioning and repairable power plant or engine and a nearly completely destroyed frame. Whereas Roswell was the opposite. They had a frame that was basically intact, but the engine or whatever was ruined. All right, so the United States needed one thing, Germany needed the opposite. Mm-hmm. All right, and within this would explain the vast array of experimental aircraft of extremely unique design, and most notably the Sanger, which was the flying wing, which was later copied by the United States, the ancestor of today's stealth bomber and fighter designs, notably the B-2 heavy bomber. And it's also beyond doubt that both UFO recoveries are the initial impetus for the long-standing ongoing research in anti-gravity propulsion seen in the work of current aircraft manufacturers such as Boeing and Lockheed in the United States and Pan Avia in Europe. So, I mean, they had to get the idea of this someplace.
Yeah.
And then there's also, as far as Germany sending these people, how did they get them from point A to point B? One theory is that it was U-boats. It says that they were small and cramped, but a tiny fleet of them, 10 to 12, could easily transport equipment by making several runs, and that they could get to Antarctica. You know, that's set to do it. And again, they're under the water, so.
Yeah.
Speculation exists that on one of the boats that there was at least one living survivor of the 1938 crash, which was an extraterrestrial. It says this was a literal human being, not a gray born on a distant planet. And it says that the ones from 1938 were, of course, they're going again, I don't know why they're saying it again, biologically completely human and described as Aryan in appearance. And while their technology is similar to that of the Greys in general theory, it is somewhat different apparently in application. And Operation Highjump, the task force of over 40 ships in an armed contingent of 1,400 sailors and 3 dog sled teams were, you know, the ones that were deployed. Okay. I've seen pictures of the dog sleds as far as Admiral Byrd. The History Channel has great things sometimes.
Sometimes.
Now, the expedition, it is, was filmed by the Navy and brought to Hollywood to be made into a commercial film called The Secret Land.
That's wonderful.
So there you go.
Mm.
More propaganda at work. It seems incredible that so shortly after a war that had decimated most of Europe and crippled global economies, an expedition to Antarctica was undertaken with so much haste and at such cost and with so much military hardware, unless the operation was absolutely essential to the security of the United States, it wouldn't have happened because the coffers were empty. And at the time of the operation, the U.S. Navy itself was being taken apart piece by piece as the battle-tested fleet was decommissioned, and its mostly civilian crew, they're like, I'm done. You know, they didn't want to stay in the Navy no more. The Navy was even reduced to further recruitment to man the few remaining ships in service. Because you've had a country that just came back from war. Now, are you wanting to sign up? I don't think so.
And I just don't know that's a hell no.
Really. Tensions across the globe were also mounting as Russia and America edged into a Cold War, possibly a Third World War, that the U.S. would have to fight with tragically few ships and tragically half-trained men. This made sending the nearly 5,000 residual Navy personnel to a remote part of the planet where so much danger lurked in the form of icebergs, blizzards, and sub-zero temperatures even more of a puzzle. The operation was also launched with incredible speed in a matter of weeks. Yeah.
The fuck?
And it says that the official instructions issued by Chief of Naval Operations Chester W. Nimitz were to train personnel and test material in the frigid zones, to consolidate and extend American sovereignty over the largest practical area of the Antarctic continent, to determine the feasibility of establishing and maintaining bases in the Antarctic, and to investigate possible base sites, to develop techniques for establishing and maintaining air bases on the ice, with particular attention to the later application of such techniques to Greenland. So this was prior to, ice worm.
Okay.
And to amplify existing knowledge of hydrographic, geographic, geological, meteorological, and electromagnetic conditions in the area. That last one being the most interesting.
I was about to be like, what was electromagnetic?
The U.S. Navy emphasized that Operation Highjump was going to be a Navy show. Admiral Ramsey's preliminary orders of August 26, 1946, stated that the Chief of Naval Operations will deal only with governmental agencies and that no diplomatic negotiations are required. No foreign observers will be accepted.
Oh yeah, that's not sus at all.
No. You're going to notice a little bit of difference in video. It's sort of like abruptly stops at a certain point, so I'm abruptly starting at a different point. Battery ran out. I swear I think we have ghosts, which wouldn't surprise me, that drain batteries, because when we started recording, it showed that I had 70-some minutes, and I had, we recorded the video the day before. We record every day, and it wasn't, an hour or something like that, so I should have had enough charge to finish up today's. Apparently not. So had to do a mini charge on it so that I could finish up. We've lost youngest kid. He went on some kind of a video call or video game or whatever they do. So I'm just going to finish it up. Me and Snuffy Boy in the background and the cats and everything like that. So we were talking about Robert Byrd, or Admiral Byrd, flying over Antarctica, and try to pick it up again. It says the aircraft flew over as much of the continent as they could in the short 3-month summer period, mapping and recording magnetic data. A kid has joined us, and they also carried magnetometers, which show anomalies in the Earth's magnetism, such as if it's hollow under a place where there is surface ice or ground, and that'll show up on the meter. There is a theory that he found hollow Earth under Antarctica.
Who? I didn't get your text
Admiral-
until now.
Admiral Byrd.
Oh.
So that's another thing on that. And so when the last of the mapping flights the planes had come in, Admiral Byrd's plane was 3 hours late.
Wonderful.
And officially it was stated that he had lost an engine. But it says if we're to believe the published and private accounts of what actually took place, that was almost certainly the time when he met with representatives of the Aryan extraterrestrials, and the contingent of German scientists working on the reverse engineering.
Shit. Okay.
Hey, at this point in this point of the Earth, who knows? It says over the next 4 weeks, the planes spent 220 hours in the air, flying a total of 22,700 miles.
That's a long-ass time.
Absolutely. And taking some 70,000 aerial photographs. Then the mission that had been expected to last between 6 and 8 months came to a very early end. And the Chilean press reported that the mission had run into trouble and that there had been many fatalities.
We love that.
Now, the official record stated that one plane crashed, killing 3 men. A 4th man had died on the ice. 2 helicopters had gone down, although their crews had been rescued, and that a task force commander was nearly lost. So that's not many.
No, that's not many at all.
So where's the discrepancy?
Yeah.
Would you believe the Chilean press or would you believe the government?
Chilean press.
I would damn near believe wino out on the street before I would believe the government.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I believe.
So the central group of Operation Highjump was evacuated.
Snuffy Boy even joined us.
Yeah, really. On February the 22nd, 1947, and headed home 8 weeks after arrival. Now, the data that they had collected immediately became classified top secret. And Secretary of the Navy James Forrestal retired and started to talk not only about Highjump, but about other things. And he was put in Bethesda Naval Hospital, the psychiatric ward, where he was prevented from seeing or talking to anyone, including his wife. Now, this is the interesting thing.
That's kind of sus.
Well, it says after a short period of time, he was thrown out the window while trying to hang himself with a bed sheet.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
He was Epstein.
Yeah.
And so the story was ruled a suicide.
It was a
Case
murder.
Closed. Of course it was.
Murder. Case
And
closed.
It said that after his death, of course, that things did manage to leak.
Mm-hmm. Like what?
Well, we don't know. It's like, was it truth? Was it fiction? Was it disinformation? Was it actual information? Yeah. So we don't know.
We'll never know, I guess, until...
And now there's a considerable amount of supporting evidence for the claims about a German base in Antarctica. And on the eve of the Second World War, Germans themselves had invaded part of Antarctica and claimed it for the Third Reich. And their objective, supposedly, was to rebuild and enlarge Germany's whaling fleet or to test out weaponry in severely hostile conditions. Well, now, why the hell would you do that? Because it's not like...
They're stupid.
It's not like Russia or any of these other places where they were fighting had conditions similar to Antarctica.
Right.
All right, the Germans had
Snuffy Boy got jealous.
Yes. Held an interest in the South Polar region of Antarctica, with the first Germanic research in that area being undertaken in 1873. So this wasn't new. Another expedition took place in the early years of the 20th century, and even another one took place in 1911. So what was going on with their fixation about Antarctica even way back when?
Don't know.
We don't know.
There's a lot of aliens over there, I guess.
Well, yeah. And it says between the wars, the Germans made a voyage in 1925 with a specifically designed ship for the polar regions. So they even built one of these. And the fact that their funding was so not there after the First World War, that was part of the cause for the Second World War. And for them to spend that to make a particular ship, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And it says, in the years directly preceding the Second World War, the Germans laid claim to parts of Antarctica in order to set up a permanent base there. And given that no country actually owned the continent, it appeared to the Germans that the most effective way to conquer part of the continent was to physically travel there, claim it, and let others know of their actions and await any disagreements.
Yes, let's forbid anyone from having a different thought.
It's supposed to be just frozen tundra. That was what people wanted. It's sort of like the difference between Iceland and Greenland.
Yeah. Greenland should have been named Iceland.
Well, the reason they did that was to deter people.
Yeah.
So they have found out that a fifth of Antarctica at that point, or nearly a fifth, had ice-free areas with lakes and signs of vegetation. That was when they discovered this. There's other theories which we will get into a little bit later.
Okay.
And this
like
area
what?
was then declared to be under the control of the German expedition. And how they had claimed it was that they had dropped all these little swastikas and stuff in the snow around the area. And that was in 1939. And we will stop there. What?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll stop there because the battery is once again draining pretty fast.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It had said 89%.
That's fucked up. Something's wrong with this battery.
Anyhow, email us, cupofcoffeewithscream, gmail.com, and we'll take this up on the next cup.
Don't forget to like, share, comment, and most of all, subscribe.